Welcome to the Yamaha booth. I am here with Captain Greg Poland. Greg, tell me a little bit about what you do. You do some charters, some photography.
A little of both, yeah. I'm a charter captain in Islamorada, Florida, and I also shoot a lot of photography.
Okay.
Outdoor stuff mostly, also some boats.
Okay, so underwater or?
I don't really do the underwater. It's mostly above water.
Okay, cool. So you're doing a lot of then traveling. You use your boat a ton.
I do. I fish a couple hundred days a year. I fish out of Islamorada, up into the Everglades, out into the ocean bit. I run a Contender 25 bay boat with a 300 Yamaha.
Very nice. So what's your favorite place to fish? I said, you talk about the Everglades. That's totally different than fishing the Keys.
It is, yeah. My favorite fish would be the tarpon. And whether I'm fishing it in the Keys, fishing in and out of bridges, or up in the Everglades, that would be my favorite fish. And I do like fishing up in the Everglades. I just think you get away from everybody. From leaving our dock in Islamorada and running where I like to fish in the Glades, about an hour or so run, sometimes up to 2, running at 40 miles an hour. My boat will do right around 55, maybe 60, depending on fuel. But cruising usually 40 miles an hour. So we get way back there at that speed.
When you are going back there, like that reliability is key, especially making those runs into places that are not populated.
It is.
How do you prepare for that?
Well, I always leave with a full tank, certainly service my engine every 100 hours, and I'll probably put 400 to 500 hours a year on the engine. So I keep the maintenance up real good. And I would always say, look at the weather. I have satellite on my GPS, so I'm always looking for things like that. Where I go, there's nobody around a lot of times, so I carry a sat phone with me. But usually, we're leaving early in the morning, running up there. I try to always leave knowing that I'll get back to the dock still with some light, and I run a Yamaha, so.
That's a good reason to run Yamaha. They are absolutely so reliable. When you're going places like that, there's no help. You might not see anybody all day long.
Right, so I cover all my bases, but I run a Yamaha, so I don't have any fear.
Another great thing about Yamaha is no matter where you go, there's usually a dealer.
Yes.
So if something does happen, if you run up on an oyster bed or you suck something up, we can get parts to you pretty quick because there are so many of us and we have such a big dealer network. We're really good about educating our tech, so there's always somebody ready to help you when it's time for that.
I agree.
Now, do you fly fish?
I do a lot of fly fishing. Matter of fact, I teach fly fishing a little bit, and with the boat that I'm currently fishing, I used to run a flats boat, so an 18-footer, and we used to try for bonefish and tarpon. It was very technical. The boat I'm running now, something that I've really had a lot of fun with people fly fishing is beginners. And this time of year, running out in the Gulf, you can fish for Spanish mackerel. And when you're coming up with those, you'll get cobia, and you get some other fish that aren't as technical. So it's really good for beginners. And as you get a little more experienced, I love tarpon fly fishing. And I do a lot of that out in the backcountry, rolling fish early in the morning. It's really something to see.
So then, do you fly fish for cobia?
We do. Yeah, we get them coming up in the chum slick. And on the wrecks, we fish some wrecks as well. But I would say that the fish that I fish for the most on fly would be the tarpon.
That's so neat. So fly fishing originally started more freshwater application. What's the difference in that and these hard-mouthed species that we have down here in the saltwater? Is that a different skill set, or
I haven't caught a freshwater fish since high school, so I don't know anything about freshwater. I washed the boat off with it.
Well, that's good. I hope you flushed it out with it.
Yeah, that as well. But, we have so many different, the hard mouth is either the billfish or the tarpon, but a small fly, very sharp. Today it's all laser sharpened, and if they get it and you strip it right, you're gonna wind up with something jumping around on the other side.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun to me.
It is.
How can somebody get started in fly fishing? You mentioned that you're an instructor, but how do you even begin to get started doing something like that?
I would say that you should catch a few fish first and get that under your belt, because when you go to fly fishing, you really learn to have to cast. The casting and all that is much more advanced before you actually get that bite and then have it on. But there's some great schools around, or just find a guide that you can talk to and get out there and he'll teach you. And that's why I was bringing up the Spanish mackerel, because it's actually a fish that you're going to get a lot of bites out of. If you go for some of the glory species, you're not going to get as many opportunities. So I like to start with baby steps.
Very fun. Well, if you'd like to come ask Captain Greg about maintaining your Yamaha or some of those long runs you make, fly fishing, anything else, he'd be glad to talk to you. Come on over to the Yamaha booth. Thank you so much for coming by.
It's good to meet you, and glad to be part of the team.
We're glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Okay.